Good morning, everybody. Welcome to pre-market update. We'll start with S&P 500, Nasdaq, Dow Jones, Russell. Then we'll review crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Then we'll review FANG stocks and commodities. Please hit the like button, guys. Only takes 1 second to hit the thumbs up button. I really appreciate that, and share this channel with friends and family. All right, so S&P 500 went to sell zone and came to the buy zone. You can see red zones are where we sell and green lines are where we buy. You can see about nice 0.7% down. You can see here, and now we are again in the buy zone. So this is also we have a gap down, 0.4% down SPY. This is ETF we trade, and there was a gap up yesterday. You can see this is pre-market session. We opened on a gap up. I marked it with green line, and we came back and gave all this session back yesterday, and it's now back to filling this gap. So now it's going to be gap down. So they could try to rally up and fill this gap because there's going to be a gap of 0.4%, and then come back down later as well. You can see there are other gaps here. If I go to let's do side by side daily chart on SPY here. Let me zoom in a bit. You can see here, these are the gaps we are looking for. All right, and on SPX, you can see we had a cycle bottom here. We could be looking for a rally from here till end of the year. All right, so you can see a cycle is in the rising phase. So looking for this rally to go till the end of the year. We'll see. At some point, I will be looking for a 10% correction on S&P 500. That could happen after it's reaching 6,200. I don't know where the top is. So at some point, so we'll be looking at least at minimum this election gaps to fill at some point. So what I'm trying to tell you is we will be below these prices maybe sometime next year, maybe not now. So you might feel good and bulls are in control, but that could change. So keep that in mind. All right. Okay. Nasdaq 100 again massive pump. No divergences here. Well, there is some divergence you can see here, but this indicator is giving me a top arrow signal saying it's time to sell. And again, I don't know where the top is. We just based on our tools, we can just see where we are. You can see very overbought yesterday. We're in the sell zone mainly due to I think AVGO. You can see up 11%, Tesla up 6%, CrowdStrike, Google, all these stocks were like just pumping like crazy. Nasdaq was the best performer. Dow Jones is weaker. Dow Jones is weaking. It's been weaker for like 7, 8 days in a row, and one of the main reasons is because of UNH. All right, you can see here UNH again down 0.5%. Just keep going lower. Coming to some nice area of support here. All right, so this is where I would be expecting bulls to start. You can see here UNH, nice area here. Okay, this is the area it could find buyers and pump. So this is one of the largest healthcare stocks. So just be mindful of that. And let's go back to Russell. Russell is also on a weekly basis going a bit lower. If I go to daily, here you go, IWM ETF. There's a gap up, gap down. Right now in the middle, they could come to fill this gap around 239. Okay, just keep that in mind as well on Russell. And on Russell's is also just touching the buy zone here as we're talking bounce and not touching the buy zone here as well. Right now it's back testing it, and then it could be ready for a nice pump after this back test completes. There's a gap here around 74 bucks. You cannot see, you have to go to 1 hour chart, but that's probably gonna be where it will be going eventually. So keep that in mind for crude oil. CNQ very weak. This has been just going straight down. But I was checking yesterday also, you can see that at times when it goes straight down like this and then recovers instantly. All right, you can see straight down after 9 counts buy signal bounces, 9 counts buy bounce, 9 counts buy bounce, 9 counts buy bounce, and we got 9 counts signal yesterday. All right, so let's see if this is it. I don't know where the bottom is, but one thing I know is all these yellow lines are the gaps to fill to the top side. So you might have to hold for a bit longer for this to bounce. Bitcoin is just extremely, we just keep going straight up on massive divergences. Okay, massive divergences going higher, and there are gaps here. Green lines are the gaps. This gap around 102, this gap around 77. So Bitcoin loves to kind of fake everybody, and people think, oh, it will never come down, it will just keep going higher. Just keep that in mind that every rally ends, and at some point it will have around 50, 60, 70% correction. But I don't know where the top is. It could go as high as 150 and then come back. Who knows where this will end. Um, Ethereum also going higher, basically based on Bitcoin Ethereum gaps. There was a gap here. It probably is closed now. So if I go to 1 hour chart, you can see it's closed. This gap is full. You can see gap down here. It had to come to fill this gap, so we can pretty much get rid of this gap on Ethereum. All right, Toronto Stock Exchange. Coming back to some support, there's a gap here around 25,000, so probably they're going to come back to fill that. Hang Seng Index just hanging in tight. I really want to see 18K prices. It could be coming here at some point. Bond market, previous lows here. So you can see here it's very close to previous lows and in still some support area, so it could bounce from here as well. Natural gas is finding support on this 50 moving average. Let's see, is it going to bounce from here to fill this gap around 3.15, or it could go lower to fill this bottom gap. Gold is little weaker. Again, it either needs to break this below to 50 to 2500 or break above 27, right in the middle. I personally think this is the area of support around 2400. This is where I will be a buyer. Silver is weaker, going lower. Next support is in 200 EMA, SMA blue lines. Copper is also in some support area here. Sugar is breaking down finally after this flag look, breaking below 200 EMA. So let's see how low it's gonna go. Could come back to like 18 levels. We'll see. We need to wait above 570 to close. Corn is looking good above all moving averages. Finally holding. Dollar is trying to show some strength, but in front of some resistance, main resistance here. Until this thing breaks, it's probably gonna fail here. In terms of FANG stock, I don't see anything interesting um, to buy in that sense. Everything is Microsoft. Microsoft still can go higher, but everything else is like all-time high, guys. Just keep going higher. So NVDA, all right, this is a bit interesting. So there's a gap around 128. Could come fill this gap and then bounce. If not, then it could come back all the way to 119.42. There's another gap to bounce, so just keep that in mind. And AVGO just stayed going higher. Wow. You can see like unbelievable these moves. Tesla also same thing, like straight high, straight high. Looks like a blow off top. It does that time and time. You can see here straight up and then come straight down. Same thing, straight up and then it will come straight down. So you got to be careful of these moves on these stocks. Where will this end? I don't know. AMD around 117 is a gap. Probably it's going to come back there for sure. I have to check if there are other gaps. Actually, there are gaps at the bottom after that, but I think at minimum it's coming to 117 to find some buyers, hopefully there. And other than that, MicroStrategy, um, this gap is filled. Open on a gap up yesterday, filled. I think the top is in, just consolidating here right now. All depends on Bitcoin. If it fails, I think eventually it's going to come fill this gap at 270 at some point. And Wix probably going to go up, fill this gap at some point at 20.42. You can see this big gap down. This is after elections, and now probably going to go up. And if it goes up, then S&P 500 is going down. If not, then it's going to go down to fill this bottom gap at 12.79. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Hit the like button on your way out and let me know if there are any other stocks you want me to review. Put a comment. All right, take care. Bye.